Hey guys, let's talk about this. It's the Texas Weapon Systems Hob Knob. Stay tuned.
Why would you want one of these? Two answers come to mind. The first is going to be that adding just a little bit of bling to your rifle, adding a little splash of color. This one's black. I've got it on the black rifle. You can get a red one on a black rifle, a green one on a blue rifle, whatever. It just makes it look a little more tactical and more cool. The second is going to be functionality, right? So gives you just a little bit more room to rack that AK bolt, and that's it. There's basically two reasons. I got this hob knob 2 years ago, and just be aware that this is my second install of this particular item. I did receive this 2 years ago, and after following the instructions and putting it on, I took it out to the range, and after about 400 rounds, it just fell right off. Just know that this is my second install. I've had it on here a while. I've got at least 400 rounds out of it again, and as you can see, it's still here, still functioning, and it's still tight, so just be aware of that. I have a short attention span. There are some instructions I placed at the end of this video. If you want to watch them for this install, please feel free to go there at the end of the video and take a look at it. But I'll tell you, it's a pretty simple process, but watching them is about as bad as watching paint dry.
Texas Weapon Systems Hob Knob. This one is black. Comes in a package just like this that actually comes inside of an envelope or a box. And then you can get these in 9 different color combinations. Again, this one's black. This goes on, as I said, a Yugo pattern rifle that I have that I took and I modernized it. Let's take a look at what you get inside. And basically these are the entire contents here. So what this comes with is just a front and back page for some quick installation instructions. And then here's what's in the packaging. It does come with a hex key, so you can use these bolts that come along with this. In this particular one right here, obviously this comes with a hex key. It's got a 1/4 inch set screw. It's got a 5/16 set screw and a 3/8 inch set screw. And just to confirm which is which, we can take this digital caliper here. I'm going to spare you some time while these are being measured with a digital caliper. That's just overkill. With only one short screw, 2 long screws, and 2 intermediate screws, it's easy to tell them apart. If you're having trouble telling them apart, you may want to just stick to playing with Legos in your spare time. So obviously there's instructions on here. The ones that are 3/8 are going to go along the sides, and the second size, which is the 5/16, the second shortest, one of those will go on the top, and then you're going to have 2 left over. You're going to have a 5/16 set screw left over, and you're going to have a 1/4 inch set screw left over. Here's what the knob looks like, and pretty simple stuff, right? So it's got Hob Knob TWS, and just to be clear, it's advertised and it's marketed as the Texas Weapon Systems Enhanced Charging Handle, but in my opinion it's going on the bolt handle. So I mean, technically it should be called a bolt handle. That's just how I see it. So basically what we're going to do is, obviously these set screws here are going to go on the sides here, and this here, these are going to be the longest one, and then the 5/16 screw is going to go in the top right here. So basically what we're going to do at the time of install is we're going to get this on, make sure it's sitting in a spot where we like it, and then I'm going to take both of these, and you'll see that one is a little further to the front and the other one is a little further aft or towards the rear. And so we'll put these on simultaneously, and then we'll tighten them one at a time to make sure that we get this at the correct angle. Once we got it at the correct angle, we're going to take the second or the third set screw and we're going to put it in here. What I'm going to do is I am going to use either some blue Loctite or some red Loctite, and we're going to put that on using the Loctite, and then we'll let it set for 24 hours, and then that should be it. Be good to go. Alright, so basically again, here's what we got to use. We've got this 1/8 inch hex key, which is going to allow us to put in the different hex bolts. I'm not going to use that. I am going to use a 1/8 inch T-handle here. Whenever you're dealing with hex keys and whatnot, it's generally a lot easier to use these T-handles because you can get things put in a lot faster. It's just a lot easier working in tight spaces and stuff. So we're going to use this 1/8 inch T-handle there. And also we're going to use this Loctite for this particular installation. Alright, so as far as these bolts go, there's one end that is open like that, and that's basically where the hex key is going to go, and then there's one and it's closed like that. Obviously that's going to go towards the inside of the charging handle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the ends over here on this side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Loctite down about halfway all the way over to this end, and a little bit on each side. I'm going to do that for the 3 bolts that I'm using, both of the 3/8 inch, and then I'll do the 5/16 as well. I'm not going to insert the 5/16 now. That's going to be for later, so maybe we'll just put Loctite on that when we decide to use that. But for now, we'll go ahead and take the Loctite and we'll get them on the sides, and we'll put our bolts in here. And as you can see, maybe you can see that, we start to put them in there. You can see in the very back where that that bolt is starting to come through in there. So we'll take the next one and we'll stick it on here as well. And when these bolts go in, you'll see that they start to come through the interior of this hobnob. So here's what it looks like for now. For now, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to change the camera position. I'm going to set this up on top of this Hugo AK, just so you can see what it looks like, and we're going to position it in a manner that makes it look even and not canted up or down or towards the side. We're going to get that set up. And so we'll take this and put it on the bolt handle like this. As you can see, when you first get it on here, I mean, it just slides back and forth any which way. So again, this one will tie in from the top and the sides. It will not tie in from the bottom. So although their website says this one is guaranteed to stay attached to your handle, so we'll see how that goes. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to go ahead and get these lined up in here. And again, when we get in a tight spot, we'll go ahead and start to use this attachment that came with it. And we want to kind of keep it even because with the bolts going in at different sides and not going in at the same spot and the handle being curved, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we have to completely back everything out and put everything back on, because we're going to get to a point where one of these bolts won't go in anymore, and if that's the case, then we're going to have to back them out and then reapply the other one just so it's going on evenly. So it's starting to tighten up there a little bit, but as you can see, when it starts to tighten up, that makes the front look a little wonky. I think that probably looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and put some of this Loctite on here. Stuff looks kind of old. It's not really goopy like it should be, but we'll go ahead and use it for now. Now, one thing that I'll say is make sure you put these bolts in as far as they will go, because you want as much pressure on that bolt handle as you can get. Otherwise, it will come loose even though we've got Loctite on there, just because there's room for it to move back and forth. So we're gonna have to make some final adjustments to it, and what I'm gonna do is, when I've got this, I'm gonna just kind of work this back and forth and take a look and see if it looks like it's even or canted or tilted or anything, because the way the bolt handle is curved and it's long, we got to make sure that this is in the right spot, so that when it goes all the way back and we put this thing in the battery, this thing's not catching up on anything. So for every time we push this in, it actually has a reaction, so it's pushing the opposite side in. So when you push this in, it cants it back and forth. So you got to make sure you do the adjustment slowly, otherwise it's going to look really wonky on you. And then when we think that we're satisfied, we're going to call it a day. And I will say again, the reminder for you if you're doing this is to get these bolts in here as far as you can push them without any bit hanging out, because you want no wiggle room in this. This bolt handle is going to jam back and forth when you fire this rifle, and it's going to come forward with such force. If you don't have this thing locked down as tight as it will go, it'll eventually just come off. I think that looks pretty good. We're going to wash this off here. And then we'll make a final adjustment to the top. I think that looks pretty good. So before we take it, we'll just take it back here and we'll charge it, or rack the bolt. And I think it looks good for now. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. I think it's about where it needs to be. So we're going to go ahead and let this set up for a little bit and let that Loctite dry in there. Maybe 30 minutes, and we're going to come back and see what it looks like.
Finally, before you put the final turns into those 3 bolts on this bolt handle knob, take a look at the placement from the side and see if the letters TWS are in the right spot. You may need to turn the knob just a bit. Take a look from the top to see if the end of the knob is pushed to the front or rear of the rifle, and then take a look at it from the front and the rear to see if the rear and the front looks like it's tilted up or down. If it looks good, make the final adjustments and you're set. I went for the black knob to stay with the vibe that I have going with this M70. But whatever color you get, keep in mind this knob does actually serve a function, and that's to give you more surface area to grab when you're racking that bolt into battery. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and leave me a comment on your thoughts.